There's one thing I've learned, and it's this. Women don't become obsessed with you because you're handsome, rich, or because you buy them flowers. That's the lie you've been sold. You've been grinding at the gym, stacking your paycheck, and playing the nice guy, hoping it'll earn her your devotion. But obsession doesn't come from logic. Obsession comes from emotion. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make women feel a pull toward you so strong it lives in their chest long after you've left the room. Here's the raw truth. Attraction is not enough. Attraction gets her attention. Obsession keeps her awake at night, replaying your words, craving your presence, stalking your social media, and wondering what you're doing. Attraction makes her smile. Obsession makes her restless. And the difference between the two is how you show up as a man. Think of it like fire. Attraction is a spark. It flickers and it can fade. Obsession is the blaze that consumes her, the one she can't ignore. And here's where most men fail. They think sparks are enough. They believe that if they look good, say the right lines, or make her laugh, it'll keep her hooked. Wrong. Because another man will come along who looks good, says better lines, and makes her laugh harder. Sparks are replaceable. Fire isn't. So how do you become the fire? You have to build layers that pull her deeper until she realizes she's orbiting around you without even choosing to. Obsession isn't about chasing her. It's about being so magnetic that she chases you. Picture this scene. You're at a bar. You lock eyes with her from across the room. She's used to men looking at her, but this time it's different. You don't glance away like you've been caught. You don't stare like a creep. You hold it just long enough, calm and steady, like you already know something she doesn't. She feels her stomach flip. Later, when you finally speak, you don't bombard her with questions like you're applying for a job. You tease, you challenge, and you make her feel like she has to work for your attention. Suddenly she's invested. She's leaning in, not because you're pouring into her, but because you're making her earn pieces of you. That's the first crack of obsession, the moment she realizes she's not in control of the script. Here's where men sabotage themselves. They give too much, too soon. They text nonstop. They pour out their feelings in week one. They make her the center of their universe before she's even decided if she wants to stay in it. And women know this. They smell it. That desperate flood of attention. It feels good for a second, but it kills the chase. Because obsession is not born from being handed everything. It's born from tension, from the push and pull that keeps her guessing. This is why you must master restraint. When she texts, you don't always answer instantly. When she shares something vulnerable, you don't instantly match it. You let the silence hang. Let her wonder what you're thinking. When she tries to test you with jealousy or attitude, you don't snap or beg. You smile, like you've seen it all before. That calmness is intoxicating. It makes her wonder, why isn't he reacting like every other guy? And once she starts wondering, she starts obsessing. The mistake nice guys make is thinking obsession comes from giving women comfort, but comfort without tension is boredom. She might like you, she might appreciate you, but she won't obsess over you. Obsession requires contrast. She has to feel safe with you, but also a little unsteady. She has to know you desire her, but also feel you don't need her. That polarity drives her wild. It's the same reason women get hooked on men who seem unattainable. They can't fully pin them down, and that mystery gnaws at them. So here's your first challenge. This week, when you talk to a woman, whether it's a stranger, a date, or your girlfriend, resist the urge to overshare. Don't dump your whole story in her lap. Instead, give her fragments. Give her enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to satisfy it. If she asks, "So, what do you do?" You don't launch into a monologue about your career. You smirk and say, "I do a little of everything. You'll figure it out." Watch how she reacts. That curiosity will sit in her chest like a hook. Understand this. Obsession doesn't grow from what you give. It grows from what you withhold. The unknown is what keeps her mind spinning. Every time you reveal just enough to light her up, but hold back enough to make her chase, you're planting seeds of obsession. She'll go home thinking about the questions you didn't answer, the stories you didn't tell, and the emotions you didn't fully reveal. That gap is what her brain can't let go of.
And here's the brutal truth. Most men are terrified of creating that gap. They think, if I don't give her everything, she'll lose interest. That's a scarcity mindset. The reality? Women drown in attention every day. DMs, likes, stares, compliments, it's endless. What they don't get is a man who makes them work. A man who isn't so eager to throw his whole self on the table. A man who values himself enough to give pieces slowly, deliberately, like a king deciding what part of his kingdom to reveal. That's the man who makes women obsessed. Picture this. She's lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. Her phone is in her hand, the screen lighting up her face. She scrolls through the feed, distracted, but her mind drifts back to you. Why didn't you reply right away? Why did you smirk and change the subject instead of spilling everything? Why does she feel like you're hiding some part of yourself just out of reach? That's the seed of obsession. You living rent-free in her head because you left space for her imagination to play. See, obsession isn't built on attention. It's built on tension. Think of tension as a bowstring pulled back. The further you pull, the more power is in the release. Every time you don't react predictably, every time you create mystery instead of clarity, you're pulling that string tighter. And when she finally gets a taste of your attention, it feels explosive. That's why men who smother women lose them. They cut the string before it's ever drawn. The psychology is brutal, but simple. People value what they earn more than what they're given. When she has to work to win your approval, to peel back your layers, and to hold your attention, she values it. When you hand it over like candy, she chews it, swallows it, and moves on. That's why restraint is power. That's why discipline makes you magnetic. But here's the catch. If you pull too far, the string snaps. If you withhold everything, she checks out. Obsession is not about starving her completely. It's about feeding her just enough to keep the craving alive. Like salt water to a thirsty person, every sip makes her want more. That's the balance most men never master, the dance of reveal and conceal. Let me show you how this plays out. Imagine you're on a date. She asks you about your past relationships. A weak man spills everything, either bragging or oversharing, desperate to prove he's worthy. A closed-off man shrugs and says, "I don't talk about that." Both kill the moment. But a man who knows how to spark obsession, he leans in, grins, and says, "Let's just say I learned that women who underestimate me usually regret it." Then he changes the subject. Boom. Her mind is hooked. She's not thinking about the answer you gave. She's thinking about the answer you didn't give. And that unanswered question will haunt her. This is what creates obsession. Not clarity, but curiosity. Women don't become obsessed with men who lay themselves bare. They become obsessed with men who live like novels. Every chapter reveals something new, but the whole story is never finished. Here's your next challenge. Next time you're in conversation, don't just answer, frame your response like a movie trailer. Hints, teasers, unfinished edges. If she asks, "So, what are you doing this weekend?" You don't say, "Hanging out with friends." You say, "I've got something lined up, but I'll let you guess." Then you smile and move on. That single thread of mystery will pull her mind back to you later. Now let's break another myth. Women become obsessed with men who worship them. False. That's how you make her comfortable, maybe even secure, but not obsessed. Obsession comes when she feels like she can't fully conquer you, when she senses you admire her and want her, but you don't need her.
That needlessness drives her insane, because every other man she meets bends, folds, and scrambles for her attention. You don't. You appreciate her, but you remain untouchable. And here's the rawest truth. The foundation of obsession is not about her at all. It's about you. If you don't have a life that excites you, if you're not building something, if you're not pursuing your own path, then all your mystery is fake. She'll see through it. Obsession only works when the man is genuinely bigger than the relationship, when he radiates the energy of someone who has purpose beyond her. That's when she feels like she has to fight for space in your world. And that fight is what creates obsession. Think about it. Women aren't obsessed with men who orbit around them. They're obsessed with men they have to orbit around. Men who have gravity. Men who draw people in without trying. And gravity isn't faked. It's built. Through discipline, through vision, through creating a life so magnetic that when she steps into it, she feels lucky to be there. That's what makes her cling, crave, and obsess.
So here's the gut punch. You don't make women obsessed by chasing them. You make them obsessed by being the man they can't pin down, the man they can't fully figure out, the man whose life is already burning bright before she ever walks into it. That's the paradox. When you stop making her the center, that's when she starts circling you. Obsession isn't a lightning strike, it's erosion. It's a slow, steady pull on her psyche. Every small encounter carving space for you in her mind until she can't shake you. You don't get obsessed by a grand gesture or some pickup trick. You get it by being unforgettable in the smallest moments. Picture her walking away after seeing you. She's fixing her hair in the reflection of a window, thinking she's casual, but her mind keeps replaying the way you looked at her. Not needy, not searching, but as if you saw something in her she didn't even see in herself. That's what obsession really is. Not her feeling like she controls you, but her feeling like you see her in a way the world doesn't. Most men miss this. They confuse attention with depth. They think if they pour compliments into her ears, she'll crave more. Wrong. Compliments are like sugar, sweet for a second, but quickly forgotten. What she remembers is how you made her feel when you weren't even trying. The way your silence had weight, the way your presence shifted the energy of the room, the way you didn't flinch when she tested you with a sharp joke, but instead gave her that look that said, "Try harder." That's the glue that sticks to her subconscious. And here's the darker layer. Obsession often comes from contrast. The world gives her predictability, sameness, and men who follow the script. You give her the opposite. If the world flatters her, you challenge her. If the world bends, you stand firm. If the world makes her feel like a goddess, you remind her she's also human. That contrast jolts her awake. That's when she starts dreaming about you, craving you, trying to crack you open. But let's be brutally honest, this only works if you're living as a man she respects. If you're just pretending, if your life is empty, if you're faking confidence, if your world is built on sand, then she'll sniff it out. Women have radar for weakness. The obsession doesn't come from masks. It comes from substance, from the man who actually walks his path, who knows where he's going, who doesn't need her validation because he's already validated by his mission. That's when every smile you give her feels like a reward. Every touch feels like lightning, and every absence feels like hunger. Now let's strip this to the core. A woman doesn't obsess over your looks, your money, or your lines. Those might catch her eye, but they don't haunt her. What haunts her is the emotional imprint you leave. Did you spark her curiosity? Did you challenge her patterns? Did you make her feel like she had to step up to be in your orbit? That's obsession, not desire for what she already has, but hunger for what she still can't reach. And you'll notice something fascinating when you do this right. She starts chasing you without even realizing it.
She texts first. She initiates plans. She probes with little questions, trying to decode you. She gives more, invests more, because somewhere deep inside she feels like she could lose you. That fear of loss combined with the taste of possibility is the recipe. And it only works when you're willing to walk away, when you can look at her and mean it. If you're not here, my life still burns bright. That's when she leans in. That's when the obsession deepens. Think of it like fire. If you smother it with wood, it dies. If you starve it, it dies. But if you feed it just enough with air and space to breathe, it roars. That's how you build obsession. Give her enough to feel the heat, withhold enough to keep her reaching for the flame. There's a line most men never cross, the line where they realize obsession isn't about tricking her. It's about embodying a truth so rare that she can't look away. When you're unshakable, when you're untouchable, when your life pulses with something bigger than her approval, that's when she latches on. Because deep down, she knows she can find 10 guys who will worship her. But she may never find another man who makes her feel this alive. So stop asking, how do I make her obsessed? The real question is, how do I become the man she can't stop thinking about? The answer isn't out there, it's in you. It's in the discipline to build yourself, the courage to stand alone, and the restraint to give less when every cell in your body wants to give more. That's the paradox. The more you pull back, the more she leans in. The less you need her, the more she needs you. And when you finally understand this, when you live it, when you breathe it, then obsession stops being something you chase. It becomes something you attract, something automatic, something inevitable. You want her obsessed? Then stop chasing her shadow. Become the fire she can't put out. You don't get her back by waiting. You get her back by never needing her again. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who also cares about this. See you in the next video.